Topping today's news, the Public Hospital Authority set to relocate some of its patients to Doctors Hospital West. The government promising improved roads in 2023. A man found shot to death in a vehicle registered to the government. And after many delays, the Andre Rogers Baseball Stadium is finally open and hosting a major tournament. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Jareno Saunders. This is your JCN Evening News. It's a pleasure to have you join us. Despite some opposition, the Public Hospitals Authority is moving ahead with plans to relocate some of the patients at Princess Margaret Hospital to Doctors Hospital West, while repairs at PMH are underway. We hear in this next report by Destiny Johnson why the PHA believes their decision is in the best interest of all stakeholders.
Starting today for 14 weeks, some patients at the Princess Margaret Hospital PMH will be transferred to Doctors Hospital West facilities on Blake Road following a major multi-million-dollar signed agreement between the Public Hospitals Authority PHA and Doctors Hospital, all in an effort to facilitate much-needed upgrades to PMH. Minister of Health and Wellness Dr. Michael Darville, during a PHA press conference on Sunday, said making the announcement as he says the government is addressing the key infrastructural challenges at the public hospital.
With respect to the care of patient transfer to Doctors Hospital West, I commend the PHA, the doctors, for coming into agreement with these essential discounted rates for public patients at Doctors Hospital West. It is a collaborative effort with clinicians, healthcare executives, legal advisors, EMS leadership, and financial officers in order for this particular initiative to be successful. With this agreement, the Public Hospitals Authority will be in a position to address critical existing infrastructure challenges, including replacement of elevators, repair of our HVAC systems, remediation work, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, all that are necessary in order for the hospital to function effectively.
Now, Minister Darville says that Doctors Hospital West has agreed to provide 51 beds, and the discounted rate for this initiative comes at a price tag of between $2 million to $2.5 million, which he says is very reasonable compared to what have been regularly spent at PMH. Managing Director Abinet Roll says this move will be able to provide as minimal impact to patients as possible.
Medical Chiefs of Staff, Internal Medicine Department, and the Emergency Room Department created the criteria of medical patients who will be transferred, with stringent screening and admission of non-critical patients with an average length of stay between 5 to 7 days, depending on the acuity level and bed availability for transfer at Princess Margaret Hospital. Monitoring and evaluation of referral process will be carried out to ensure that only public patients are transferred, and strengthened case management to ensure a smooth transition of patients. The emergency medical services will be included in the transfer process, and the EMS leadership has been fully engaged in planning process and making the necessary preparations to ensure patients' transfers are conducted safely, efficiently, and without disruption to the agency's emergency response functions.
The management of patients at the Doctors Hospital facility will be carried out by PMH's internal medicine team, along with Doctors Hospital's health system physicians and allied health staff. The managing director goes on to say that upon discharge of the patient, all documentation will be transferred back to PMH for care continuity. As for when the upgrades and construction to the hospital will be completed, Ms. Roll has this to say.
So one of the key things now is when we now go to tackle the medical area, we will not only be just doing the departments, which is really the male medical too, as well as female surgical. We'll be doing all of the works, and that needs to be completely gutted on the male medical, the inclusion of a proper isolation room that never existed. And that takes approximately 12 to 14 weeks. We do anticipate, obviously with construction, you don't know what you will find. So we do have a buffer of an additional 4 weeks should we have some other stuff that needs to happen. So colleagues, at the end of the day, what you will see is 51 plus about 13 plus 26. That will now give us 90 beds. Okay, approximately 90 beds. And this is when we will now be able to take care of the Bahamian public in a place that is designed, that is safe, and the provision of quality care happens.
In October of this year, the internal consultant physicians at the Princess Margaret Hospital voiced their concerns and criticisms with the government's proposed plans to outsource, saying that there is no jurisdiction and it is not physically prudent. Physicians also alleging that there has already been a death in the pilot of this process when a patient who had been moved to the other facility became unstable and could not be revived upon arrival to PMH. Mistress Roll asserts that concerns have been addressed and all parties are trying to do what is best for the patients.
So I'm unfamiliar with an alleged death on a pilot. What I do know is a patient decompensated as usual, and unfortunately the patient died. What I am prepared to address though is that yes, there were challenges. Anytime any organization is about to make changes, all parties will not be on the same page, I call it. But we have had multiple consultative efforts, and I'm happy to say that they came to the room, they appreciated the quality of care, they appreciated the safety element, and they are on board to be able to attend to the patients. What was most important that I gathered from them was that they wanted to ensure that they were able to ensure that their patients had that continuity of care from beginning to end, and they wanted to be a part of that process. So they are a part of that process. However, based on the volume of patients, we do see that there will be a need for Doctors Hospital to assist. But they are a part of the process, and I've had no issues with them being a part of the provision of care for the patients.
The health minister thanks all parties for their continued cooperation and partnership as the government upgrades necessary facilities to provide the quality of care for public patients across the country. For JCN News, I'm Destiny Johnson.
Thanks for that report, Destiny. Customs brokers are complaining that the Customs Department in the Ministry of Finance is forcing them to pick up the cost of a new software that is compatible with the government's Click to Clear program. The Click to Clear program is an initiative implemented in 2019 to facilitate one access point for traders and businesses that is connected to various government agencies. This new initiative will replace the current system used to submit and clear declarations. Superintendent in charge of the program at the Bahamas Customs, James Albury, says Financial Secretary Simon Wilson has mandated a process called integration for this initiative.
Where we have integration, where we have a program that submits a declaration through an electronic XML format. And what happens is that we have two major companies that are doing the programming here in the Bahamas, which is one is ISL Bahamas and Gas Bahamas. And so what is happening is that those are the two persons that are available in the Bahamas, and we are asking them to reach out to those two companies or an independent programming company so that they can be ready for January 2nd with our integration, where they'll have to submit declarations electronically into Bahamas Customs.
Mr. Albury sought to clarify that no one is forcing a customs broker to do anything. He says there is an option of having a programmer instead of the software before submission into Bahamas Customs.
It's a software application that submits an electronic format into Click to Clear. And so what happens is that it is a computer language XML statement that comes into Click to Clear, and once it gets into Click to Clear, then Click to Clear will push it through our processes.
Superintendent Albury notes that one of the main advantages of the new system is better risk clarity to be able to process declarations. The country's murder count moved up by one notch after a man was found dead in a vehicle in the Garden Hills area early Saturday morning. Details are still sketchy as police are still early into their investigations. However, police telling reporters on the scene that the victim was a resident of the area.
Sometime around 7 a.m. this morning, the police received a call that there's some incident that took place in Gardner's community where a man was found lying inside of a vehicle and he appeared to be lifeless. The police officers responded. A short time later, EMS arrived on scene and pronounced the body lifeless. What we can say is that this male seemed to have received some injuries about his body. It appears to be gunshots, and the investigation is very active at this time.
Now, that vehicle that the victim was found in, according to police, was a government red-plated vehicle. And while officers declined to disclose or confirm if the latest homicide victim was a government employee, they did say that the man is believed to be between 35 and 45 years old. Meanwhile, insensitive photos believed to be the victim were shared multiple times on social media over the weekend. His death represents the 122nd murder for the year. Investigations continue. And finally, in this segment, Prime Minister Philip Davis, Deputy Prime Minister Chester Cooper, Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture Maria Boleg, other government officials, along with hundreds of baseball fans, gathered for the official opening of the Andre Rogers Baseball National Stadium on Sunday. Sports Minister Boleg says the naming of the stadium is to pay homage to Kenneth Andre Rogers and his contributions to the Bahamas in baseball.
With this state-of-the-art stadium that meets Major League Baseball professional standards, we can attract international tournaments and host college and university games. To the family of Kenneth Andre Ian Rogers, especially to his daughter Gina, who is present here, this landmark is a reminder that once given the opportunity, Bahamians can showcase resiliency and determination at the highest level. On behalf of the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, I would like to extend our gratitude to the Bahamian legend, a trailblazer who has inspired generations of athletes to pursue their dreams and has shown a country that you are not limited by your circumstances, but are able to excel when open to the endless possibilities of life.
The opening ceremony showcased a number of local Bahamian performances before the throwing out of the first pitch of the night. During his remarks, Prime Minister Davis acknowledged the legacy of Mr. Rogers and the path he paved for other Bahamians in sports.
Dozens of young Bahamians are playing professional baseball in the minor leagues in the United States of America. And countless others are playing for teams in American high schools, colleges, and universities. Other Bahamian youth will follow in the footsteps of the 8 to have played in Major League Baseball, namely Andre Rogers, as you know. He went in 1957. There was Tony Curry, who went in 1960. And Brister, who went in 1973. Benny Ford in 1973. Will Comer in 1983, Anton Richardson in 2011, and guess what? Our own all-star second baseman for the National League, John Chisholm.
The opening ceremony set the stage for the opening of the 4th Annual Caribbean Baseball Cup, featuring 5 countries, including Curacao, Puerto Rico, Cuba, U.S. Virgin Islands, and, of course, Team Bahamas, who are all battling for 2 qualifying spots at the 2023 Central American and Caribbean Games. The Bahamas won their opening game 4-3 versus U.S. Virgin Islands on Sunday night. Tonight, Monday night, at 7 o'clock, they face Curacao. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back after these commercials.